Well, Mitch Shannon, I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. You are correct, Mitch. My campaign last year was to fill Connie Bozen's at-large seat. The campaign was 7.5 weeks. In 7.5 weeks, I had 74 gatherings. I think I had two with you, maybe more.
Yeah,
But
at least two.
anyway, just from an interest perspective, at most of those 74 gatherings, I had the opportunity to ask people what was on their mind, what were their concerns. Without exception, the number one issue was homelessness, and number two was housing affordability. And then there was a host of other issues. DART was one. Supporting DART, what's my position on that? And certainly, I'm all for a robust public transportation system. And Des Moines Public Schools was also at the top, though the city has limited ability to affect public schools. We do have some. Then after the election, I was seated. One of the most immediate things that popped up was the encampment ordinance with the city of Des Moines, which ended up passing. I voted no, Josh voted no. I was very vocal about that particular issue. I'm all for being able to redirect people if they're not in a safe space and they do not have a home, but I was very much opposed to any kind of a citation and any kind of a fine, but I was not successful in changing minds on the council. And that has certainly had some other ramifications, but what I stated at the meeting after the vote, knowing that it was going to pass, that I was already working on areas of change to help those who are homeless. And I said, if anything, what that vote on that ordinance did was to wake up the community and to wake up city council and put homelessness toward the top of the issues that we were dealing with. And boy, didn't it wake folks up. And for that, I'm grateful. I've been on council for a little bit less than a year. I was appointed by my peers as the mayor pro tem. That was done about a month ago. So in the absence of Connie Bozen, I served as the mayor in that capacity. And I've done that several times over the last month. So I thought that that was an honor. I ran, and I'm running again because I bring a listening ear. And I like to get things done. I like to bring people together. And I think I'm good at it. And I know a lot of the staff, being an architect in Des Moines for 35 years. I've known a lot of the staff. I certainly know staff and leadership in the surrounding suburbs. And I think that's important too, because we really do need to be working together. DART is one of those areas, and frankly, homelessness and affordability of housing is also one of those areas. Some of our suburban friends still do not have affordable housing, and nor do they apply for IFA funding, which I think is a shame. But we're making some progress there. I've been meeting with Russ Trimble over at West Des Moines. I've known him for a number of years. Waukee, the mayor there, has been very vocal about wanting affordable housing in her community. So I think there continue to be opportunities there. But I'm looking forward to hearing what your questions are as you think about, the next 4 years of whoever wins my seat. At present, there has not been anyone to express an interest in my seat. I expect that there will be. I don't have names, but I just expect that there will be. But what questions might I be able to ask of you?
Well, thank you, Michael. I mean, actually, the two questions I had, one you basically answered already. The second one you touched on, but I want to go to our first one, and again, it dealt with homelessness. What other options? I know there's been a lot discussed over the last several months outside of the shelters. I mean, and there's been discussion, of course, several times in the last year about tiny homes. I know you brought that up yourself during the campaign. And there's like Anna Wynn, I think they have a housing project I was reading here recently. So what other projects are kind of like a reality that to be in place over the next couple of years?
Well, the first one that's coming up is an effort that I have been leading, and that is working with the Catholic Worker House. When I won, and I had volunteered at the Catholic Worker House probably 20 years ago. They've been in their current location off 7th for about 40, 45 years in an older home, and actually a couple of homes in that area. And after I won, I was approached not by Cordero, but by Ray Blaze, their board chair, about helping them potentially finding or expanding a better place. And I had had a meeting with the city manager at what time he told me that the city was going to certainly vacate the fire station at 9th and University. I knew that because we were building a new fire station. But he told me that the city was going to use that building for storage and for the housing, the city of Des Moines housing area for storage and a shop. I said, oh my goodness, that's on University on a bus route. It's a solid 1950s building, 2 blocks from primary health care. And so that set me immediately working on that as a potential location for the Catholic Worker. We've had several meetings. I believe that that's going to happen. I have the support of other council members. What will be important about that particular building is the worker house will be able to move out of their location on 7th, 3 blocks down. So it's not adding another facility, if you will, in that neighborhood, but a more appropriate location. It will also become the first designated warming and cooling center in the city. If you can picture an apparatus, what we call an apparatus bay in a fire station where the trucks are parked, it's a large space, and that would be a perfect place for a cooling and warming center. Primary health care is excited about that because, as you've read, once the city adopted that ordinance, to be able to move encampments, many of the homeless became very concerned that they might be awoken in the middle of the night. So they've been camping out at primary health care inside the building, in hallways. They've had lean-tos against the building. And primary health care is excited about having this particular facility 2 blocks away, again on a bus route. Primary health care will do intaking there at this new location. And this is confidential because it hasn't been yet approved, but I'm sharing this with you. And I would appreciate keeping it a little bit quiet because I don't want there to be obstacles thrown up unnecessarily. But primary health care will do the intaking. Broad Lawns will have a pop-up clinic in that building a couple days a week. They will have caseworkers, et cetera, and they'll be able to feed a lot more people. They currently feed 1,000 people a month, and they'll be able to do a lot more than that. So that's one effort that I directly have been leading. And I've also secured some funding from the county for making those reservations. I'd like to back up just momentarily, if I may, because all of these things require funding. And when I ran for office, I had expressed the need to reduce the amount of tax abatement in TIF that we have been offering the development community in our city, where most of the suburbs do not do any kind of tax abatement, and some do TIF, but on a limited basis, with the argument that for those who are developing in our city, we need that tax base. We can't survive by giving developers 20 years of tax abatement, and I would like to capture those monies and use it for homelessness and housing affordability. Well, unfortunately, while that concept, I'm sure, is going to be enacted, the city of Des Moines is having its own budget issues because of the state house capping the increase in taxes. Salaries alone for police and fire are exceeding the 2% cap. So other council members are talking about reducing tax abatement and TIF, but taking those monies to help balance the budget. So there are going to be some other budget constraints, but I'm determined to make that happen. And then I'll pause so that you have time to ask other questions. But after I won, I was contacted by a few very generous people, families in our community who ordinarily write $1 million checks every year for arts and culture, who have said to me, once you come up with a plan, let us know, and we would like to direct some monies toward homelessness. And I have not yet approached them, although we talk regularly. And as you know, the housing study is going to be coming out here very, very shortly, as is the homeless study. So I hope to be able to make some announcements about that with private funding.
Well, actually, my second question, and we have 3 minutes remaining, but our second question was on TIF, and you already answered that. So you're ahead of the ballgame of both questions I had. But I would let me go to with the budget crisis. I mean, with the state of Iowa, they're going to do whatever with property taxes. I mean, it's already been a crunch in the last couple of years, and of course, in the combination with the federal government, I'm sure there's not going to be as many grants available over the next couple of years from federal entities as there has in the past. So, I mean, how do you deal with that? I mean, besides, of course, the proposed cuts have been recommended, I think up to 17 million over this next month here.
Relying more on private funding sources. Des Moines is a very generous community. There are lots of families, not so much corporations anymore, but lots of families who write very big checks on a regular basis. And it's going to take all of us to do that. It is, because on the federal side, that's just a question mark. We have no idea what's going to be.
Well, Michael, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We're going to give you 90 seconds to kind of close it out on your end. I mean, anything else you'd like to let us know about you? Any other plans that you and the rest of the city council are planning over these next couple of years?
I just plant a couple of seeds, make one comment. When I did run almost a year ago now, I made the commitment that should I win, I would step down from my office and devote full-time to city council, and I have done that. In fact, I moved my office over the weekend. So it is my full-time job. I love the work. I'm fortunate that I have a very supportive mayor who's appointed me to several commissions where I can get more work done. So I hope for your support once again, and you will not be disappointed.